Hello, everyone, and welcome to another insightful episode of the Resilient Immigrant Knowledge is Power series. And thank you so much for joining today. At Resilient Immigrant, our mission is to help immigrants thrive. And we do this by providing tools, resources, information, and support needed to overcome challenges that immigrants face every day. Our KIP topic for today is navigating career, culture, and family as an immigrant mom. And we're honored to have amazing moms on the call with us today who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience on this topic. And they'll be sharing their experiences, discussing challenges, and providing recommendations or just suggestions on how you can navigate your immigrant journey as a mom. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to them to introduce themselves. They'll tell us what they do, their names, and where they are located. Okay, ladies, who wants to go first?
I can go first. So my name is Alwaye Olajuwon, and I am a HR project manager. I work with a company called Sencora, and I am located in Dallas, Texas.
All right, thank you. Who would like to go next?
All right, I'll quickly go. My name is Yeyinde Fabanu. I work with Unilever as the Global HR IT Manager, and I'm based in the Netherlands.
All right, awesome. Okay, Vesey?
Hi everyone, my name is Bessie and I am a chartered engineer but also an entrepreneur. I'm a children's author and I run a children's educational toy brand. I'm in London.
Awesome. All right, Adiola.
Sure. Hi, ladies. Nice to meet all of you in your fantastic profession. My name is Adela. I'm a pharmacist, entrepreneur, health tech entrepreneur. And right now, I'm in Atlanta, but I shuttle between multiple regions.
That's awesome. And we have it's like everywhere. So Netherlands, London, Texas, Atlanta. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's jump right into this topic, right? It is navigating career, culture, and family as an immigrant mom. And we're all moms here. How many children do each of us have? So I have 3 children.
I have three as well.
Three.
Yeah, how many children do you have?
I have two. They're twins, so I have two
Oh,
boys.
nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's really talk about when you guys relocated or when you migrated, right? And you started having children. How was it navigating motherhood abroad versus motherhood that you know growing up from where you're originally from? What was that transition like? How did you fit in nicely?
Um, so my journey into motherhood was a struggle. I struggled when I had my first child. She's 8 now, by the way, so we're good. So when I had her, my mom came and she stayed. You know, now they come and then they stay for like 3 months, 6 months. So she was here 3 whole months. I didn't touch the baby. I remember the first night I came home from the hospital. She would cry and cry, cry. My mom woke me at least I think about like maybe 5 times. And then the last time I was like, Mommy, like, okay, she's like, oh, AY, she's crying. I'm like, so what do you want me to do? She's like, AY, I can't breastfeed your baby. That was when it dawned on me that, I've entered. So it was a struggle. And then when she left, because I'd never bid her, I remember when she was 3 months, I didn't know what to do. I would cry and cry. And then I hadn't started working because when I got married, my husband has lived here like since he was like 7. So he he's already integrated into the culture, the American culture. I just came from Nigeria where there's help, right? Like people do things for you. And then coming here, it was a shock. When my mom left 3 months after my child was born, I would cry. I fell into depression because I was by myself. I had no help, so it was a struggle. But I thank God now, it's better. We're thriving so well, but like transitioning from that Nigerian culture into here where, you have to do basically everything yourself. No one is going to come in to help you, right? So it was a struggle. So I struggled. The initial phase, becoming a mom, a first time mom was a struggle for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I
I think
had
I
a
had a
similar experience with AY. My mom was here for 3 months and she was absolutely amazing. I didn't do night runs once. You know, she would feed my daughter, everything. And then she left, and it dawned on me that I was actually the owner of the child and not my mom. And it was just, I actually have three sisters and we live around each other. So I do have a bit of support, but there's nothing like the help I saw my mom receive in Nigeria.
Mhm.
Honestly, we always had an auntie, we had help, we had people just doing things. And I realized that I was the one doing all those things that you had like five different people doing in Nigeria. So that was a big culture shock for me. But also, like in Nigeria, you just have people constantly flowing through the house. You know, someone is coming, dropping like a bowl of rice and stuff like that. And I did have a bit of that here, but not in the way you have it in Nigeria. Like they own your child, they own your life, and they just support you in a different way that's totally different from living abroad. And that's when it dawned on me that actually my network is actually in Nigeria, even though I've been here for quite a while, but my strong, strong network is in Nigeria. So yeah, that's my own journey.
journey.
Adela, what's yours?
Oh my god. The reason why I laugh, to be honest, is because I just gave birth. Okay, I have to say just because my baby is like 14, 15 months. So I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and then 7-year gap. I had to start all over again, my dear. It's like, things that when you've orchestrated for life, your life for like, okay, you're already done with kids, and then you have a surprise baby and you have to relive it. It's intense. Like, lucky you, AY, and Vesey, that you didn't do night runs. My mom was here, and she's still even here, but night runs is not their necessary. It's not the early stage is like where baby waking up every 2 hours. No, no, nobody touches that. I was the one, and I had three C-sections for each child. So imagine trying to get up with a lot of pain and trying to feed the baby, and like one time they just want to like, it's like, what in the world? So it's a struggle, but I think I want to revisit your question. Are we speaking to like the struggles? Are we speaking to the coping mechanism, right? Because it is. And maybe I'll echo you guys. We had our own struggles in different ways, either at the very early stage or late stage. But I'll definitely like to share as we go along. What does it mean to be resilient, and how do you quickly reframe that pain and discomfort to and coping mechanisms to just help yourself better, equip yourself better to just get through that stage, right? Because as a healthcare professional as well, we definitely know about the whole mental aspect too. Apparently it takes you 2 years for you to recover back to your normal self. 2 years, 2 years. So I mean, I'm still dealing with it. I'm not finished. 2 years, and I know for sure because I have some mad mood swings. Like, yep, that's it. So, but it's very
Very
interesting
interesting
hearing all
hearing
of you
all of you
guys'
guys'
thoughts for
thoughts for
sure.
sure.
All right, yeah, yeah. Let's see us hear your own experience. What was your experience when you started?
So let me cap it up for all of us. I was just laughing when Adiola said she was laughing because I wanted to laugh as well. I actually moved pregnant. Or let me say it like this. I found out I was pregnant when I landed into the Netherlands. So I got my assignment at work. I was so excited, with all the career ambitions, excited to come and break new grounds in Netherlands. And I got here and found that I was pregnant. I was excited. And then we went for the scan, and then I saw that it was two. So entire knowledge of motherhood is what we said is Nigeria. You have people around. I mean, I saw my cousins, my friends, how people flock in. And so it didn't even dawn on me that I was in a new country. I just assumed, okay, I'll apply for visa for my mom. She'll be here for 6 months and I'll apply for somebody else. And no. And then the icing on the cake is the fact that unlike like US, UK where you apply for a standard fixed month time. Schengen visa, they give you as the mind pleases. Mhm. So when my mom applied, they gave her 3 weeks.
Right.
Yes, from then. So she was like, okay, let her know use so that she can get a longer term. And they gave her 6 weeks. I was like, oh no. So we had to plan. Oh, we gave her 3 months with no. But I think for me, I didn't have the privilege of not having the night sleep, if I might say it like that, because I have no choice to be with the second baby. And before pregnancy, I used to lead well-being in my office. So it was more like this was my first was, narrating about build your resilience, build your well-being and all that, leading different projects. But this was my first time actually feeling it. I did go into a number of depression mood, but I don't think I had the privilege to stay in there. Let me put it like that, because there are two of them. So I needed to beat myself up every morning, sit up and just tell myself the things that I need to tell myself to stand up. So um I'm also eager to hear as well with everyone, because I think one goal for me, I think I just kept telling myself, was also the fact that you then like don't turn the blessing into
into
problem.
into a problem.
I
I
had
had
to
to
consciously
consciously remind
remind
myself. It
myself it
was a
wasn't
lot of consciously bringing
to reality.
to
It was
reality.
very
It
tough. It
was
was
very
very hard.
tough. It was very hard.
The 6 weeks
The
for my
six
mom
weeks for
flew
my
by
mom
so
flew by so
fast.
fast.
And I was like,
And I was like,
okay,
okay,
this is my
my
full
full
reality.
reality.
So
So
I
that
think
was
So
my
that was my
journey into
journey into
motherhood.
motherhood.
yeah, so I actually relate to yours a little bit because I remember so I'm the youngest of three sisters. Of well, yeah, we're three of us. And my sisters already had children and when I lived in Nigeria, I saw the kind of support they had. They would have like one or two or three nannies, you know, um, attend to the baby that they had, they would stretch their legs and ask for food. The maid would bring food, they would massage their feet. I was like, okay, well, definitely when I have my own babies, this would be the experience. But then I found myself in the US and I used to feel so angry because my whole imagination of motherhood was I've given birth, so now it's my time to relax and be pampered. People would, give me food. But I was in Yankee and I didn't have support system. My mom at the time, she had her business, so she only gave me 6 weeks. My mother-in-law gave me 6 weeks. So it was like after 3 months, you're your own, So I did all the nights as well. I would do all the cooking. Of course, my husband will help here and there, but there's only so much he could do, right, as a man. So I would feel so tired every time, and I was still going to work. I would feel so tired, and I didn't really know what to do. So I felt a lot of, for me, I would call it I wouldn't necessarily say depression. It was more of frustration. I was frustrated because of the mindset I already had of what motherhood should look like. And I wasn't getting that. So I'm like, why do I feel cheated? I literally felt cheated. Like, why is my experience different? So, but then eventually I was like, okay, well, I'm not alone here. There are other people that migrate and have the same experiences. Not everyone is able to afford to have a nanny. Some people don't have their parents or siblings to support them. So how are those people coping? So at that point, I started speaking to myself like, okay, you have to have a different perspective of this thing. So I want us to talk about, those strategies, right? For people who don't have support systems, so for people who don't have, their moms or sisters or a nanny to help them, because having a nanny is expensive. That's a high price point. So not everybody can afford it, right? So the people who are, the new immigrants who are migrating, or just the new moms who have migrated, and they are in that part of, having their children. What are some advices, recommendations you would give to them so that they don't face the same, you know, challenges that we've gone through? Because I feel like now we've past that stage, we know better, and so we're in the position to give recommendations and advice to people. So what are some things you would say?
I
I
think for
think
me,
for
I
me, I
would
would
say
say
that
that
information is important, right? So for us, we just like, I feel we didn't know how it was just kind of thrown into it, right? So learning from people's experiences. So say for example you're someone who lives in Nigeria and willing to looking to relocate abroad, right? Knowing that when you come here it's a different ball game, in the sense that there's no one to help you, like you have to help yourself, right? And so understanding that, so you choose to come here, relocate, you have kids, you're doing it on your own. So just, you know, getting that mindset or preparing yourself for knowing, okay, this is what is going to happen. Once I start to have kids, it's going to be challenging. And so how do I overcome those challenges? It's just being better prepared. Just knowing that these are the things that would happen, once I, relocate, start having kids. So I think just being better prepared and just having that mindset of what is to come.
I like the conversation on mindset and information. And I think similar to Vivian's experience, just being thrown when you're pregnant here. I think for me, I was also in a new country and there was no information about how immigrants, thrive in a new country. I mean, I had information of what it would be like in US or UK. But when you find yourself in any country, I think it's very key to also research the kind of support they have in that country as well. Is key. So I think after about 3 months after I had my babies, I found out about, government giving like a hotel service for 2 weeks for mothers. Even if it's just 2 weeks, I mean, I had a C-section as well. So I would have, gotten that opportunity to rest as well. Also trying to find thrives is very key. And so my husband, he was actually very intentional for me, and some people don't have that opportunity, but what he did is he found like Nigerian communities. I don't know, he just used WhatsApp group, who is, found a lady who is a Nigerian who actually takes care of mothers as well, when they give birth. She actually does it as a Nigerian. So she would come maybe once in a week, she will cook for me, she will stock my fridge and all that. But I mean, just finding different tribes. It could be mothers going through the same thing as well. It could be a church group. It could be a religious gathering. People who are like minds that can help you in that situation as well. It could be mothers going through the exact same
same
thing.
thing.
I know
I know
because I
because I
remember
remember
my
my
line
line
manager
manager
was
was
pregnant
pregnant
at that
at that
same
same
time,
time,
and she
and
was
she
able
was
to
able to
tell
tell
me,
me,
have you registered your kids for daycare in the Netherlands? It takes 7 months or 8 months to get daycare, to be on the waiting list. So sharing those experiences with her also supported in. She probably got a daycare before me because she did what she knew what to do, but I didn't know. So I was able to share it to other people. So I have friends who just got pregnant, like, you have to do this immediately. Like, don't waste time. Don't put a name of the child, just put to be confirmed, but register your children for daycare. But information is so key, and having those thrive. Just look for your own tribe and make it work for you. Make what you have as a tribe work for you. Also helps.
I love that. So some things that you guys have mentioned is number one, make sure you're prepared. So pregnancy takes 9 months, so there's really no excuse. So prepare yourself, start looking for information, start looking for resources. The next thing is, even if you don't have your immediate family as your support system, look for communities, look for thrives that you can be a part of, church, social gatherings, people that you can connect with like minds. And then lastly, look for what resources your community provides, your state or city, because there are actually a lot, but because we don't have the information, we don't know, you know. And so I think that's great. All right, perfect. I want us to dive into.
Can I
can
say
I say
something
something
very
very,
Yes.
very
quickly?
quick?
I
I
think
think
one
one
thing we
thing
need
we need
to
to
tell
tell
people is
people
be
is be
kind to
kind to
yourself.
yourself.
And I
And I
think
Hmm.
give
think it
yourself
yourself.
grace. And I think many times you just go into motherhood expecting to like the love to overwhelm you, or expecting to snap back, or expecting to be okay or have it figured out. And those, like, you can put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect, whereas you've never been a mother before. And even if you've been a mother before, you've never been a mother of two before. And even if you have a third, you've never been a mother of three before. So, like, just give yourself grace. You will make mistakes. You are learning. You're on a learning curve that is very steep. And so I wish I could go back to give myself the grace that I now enjoy. Just be you, and enjoy it. Another thing is communicate your needs to people around you. Like, tell your husband, I need you to do this, or your sister, or whoever is around you, I'm struggling, help me. I wish I did those things more then, but obviously with um, hindsight is always good, right? But for anyone that's on that journey, I'll say give yourself grace and communicate your needs. Yes.
I love that you said that because it's so important to give ourselves grace. As you were saying this, I was just thinking about myself because sometimes I'm on social media and I'm looking at these perfect moms who at 6 p.m. every day dinner is ready. They make smoothies, they have food nicely arranged on the plate. And I'm like, how do these women do it? Like, what's going on? They have 3 children. I have 3 children. Do we have two heads? Or even some moms like AY, like when her children come out, they're all decked out. I'm like, So I think it's so important to just give yourself grace. So that's awesome. Thank you for adding that. All right, so I want us to dive into how we're able to balance, motherhood as well as still doing stuff for ourselves, right? Whether it is having a business or being in a 9 to 5, having a career, like how are we navigating that? Because some people feel like they cannot cope. It's too much for them because, like you said, you're abroad, you're doing the job of 5 people. Whereas back home, you have those 5 people doing it, but right now you're doing it all by yourself. Now you're adding business, you're adding career. So how do you all do it? Because I know you guys have multiple things going on. So let's hear it.
Um, so, in terms of like work, number one is I set clear boundaries. Um, my work time is my work time, and I'm so fortunate in the sense that where I work, so my company they're in the East Coast, and I work remote, so I do 7 to 4, right? And then I structured it in such a way that in the mornings my husband does drop offs, I do pick up, and so I don't take my break until like 2, which is 2:30. So which is like right around where when I go to pick up the kids. So it just kind of works out for me. So I have that on lockdown. And then another thing is for me not to go insane. I share my creative side. So I like Vese, you follow me, Vivian, you follow me on Instagram. So I am a content creator. I love it. That is my hobby. That is it's what brings me joy. My husband knows it. My children know it. That is AY. I share my creativity with people. That is for me, right? So they know Saturdays, like in the morning, and thankfully my mom is around. So on Saturday she's here, she's helping out. That is when I have time to create. You know, it is time for mommy to shoot a video. You cannot come and knock and you know that one already. So everybody just leaves me because that's what brings me joy. Because looking back at when I first became a mom, I used to love makeup. I used to love to dress up. When I became a mom, it was as if it was like a complete switch. Like I didn't even know who I was, right? So I had to drag myself out of that to find joy in the things that I once loved, right? So I'm in a space where thriving, I'm happy, I'm loving. My husband knows. You want me to go back to the way I was before? It was a struggle for both of us. So he knows, just leave mommy. She's shooting her content. Let her shoot her content. Let her buy her makeup. Let her do her makeup. Let her and even the fact that the joy it gives me in dressing up and all that, I've transferred it to my children. Like I love to dress them up. They're looking pretty, and it just brings me joy. So that is how I kind of balance it, so I don't go crazy.
That's awesome. So, AY, you actually went ahead to answer how you're not losing yourself, right? So, this is how you're
Oh,
maintaining
okay.
your
Yeah,
sanity as
that's
a
good.
mom, right? And I love it. But I want to know, because I know you're working, right? I want to know how you're managing it because for me, I feel very guilty at work. I have a 9 to 5. A lot of people don't know I have a 9 to 5. I still have a 9 to 5 in addition to all the things that I do. And at work, I feel there's a form of hesitant that I feel when I have to take time off, maybe because I have to go for parent teacher conference at school and it's in the middle of the day at 11 a.m. or 1 p.m., right? Or maybe I get a call from school to do something, or I see other moms volunteering and it's only me that is not volunteering. I'm like, I can't be giving excuses all the time that I work. Some of these moms also work too. How are they doing it? So,
To be okay, go ahead. To be honest, I don't volunteer my kids' school. I don't do it. I'm sorry. I don't, and I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty. I'm not. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I'm only one person. I have 3 children, right? I can't. How I just can't do it. Two of my kids go to one school, and the other child goes to the other school, to another school. So how? I'm sorry, I don't do it. I just do. I like who Vesta said, give yourself grace. The amount of grace that I used to struggle with mom guilt so much, but now the amount of grace that I give myself, hey, I'm only one person, and I'm sorry, Vivian. If you feel guilty, trying to volunteer at your kid's school, you should not. I can guarantee you, most of the women who volunteer probably don't have a 9 to 5, and so they're able to do it. Just look at it from that angle. I have a 9 to 5. I have a business to run. I have so many things that I do, and I just give myself grace. I can't be all in a thousand places at once. It's not possible. So
I
Can
want
I just speak to that?
I
Sorry.
want to flip something AI said. I think in terms of grace at home, also grace at work, to be honest. So that point of give yourself grace is very key. I think I used to feel guilty when they call me from my kids' daycare. Oh, this person has fallen ill, or there's something. I'll be like, oh my God, I have to stop in the middle of the meeting and then leave. But now first of all, I block out my calendars very clearly at work as well. And the beginning of the day, the end of the day, if I have a kid's appointment, is blocked there and not as busy. It's blocked as out of office because there are some people who assume if you block your calendar as busy, maybe it's a long meeting so they can chook something there or they can chat you. I block it as out of office. My calendar is very colorful because being an immigrant mom, you have to plan yourself. That planning is very key. And I don't give excuse for it because to what EY said, some of the moms as well work 4 times a week in the Netherlands, for example. So they have one day to focus on like kids or something. I work 9 to 5 because even if I tried the 4 times a week. I noticed I was working on that day off as well. I was closing out actions. So I'm like, okay, let me continue my 5 days a week, but just being deliberate about it and also giving myself grace. If I can't make a meeting, be very clear about it. I'm in HR and we do like talent forums, for example. And there was one day someone blocked 2 talent forums, 5-hour meetings, 2 days. I said, no, guys, if I have to be the HRBP in this session, you're not going to get the best of me. Between these business leaders, decide for yourself, but I'm not going to join any of that. And just accepting that, you're going through your own growth at your own time. I think before I would have felt bad that, oh my God, maybe some other HR will be able to do a lot and conquer different walls. But the sky is everybody's limit and there's space. So I've learned to tell myself that I will climb the way I need to and get there eventually. So also giving grace at work as well.
yeah, that's
Yes.
awesome. All right. So, Adila, you wanted to say something too.
Yay! I wanted to say something. To both of you, to you and AY's. Oh, sorry. Yemi, right? And AY's point, right? Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of managing expectations, communicating expectations, and structuring for success. So similar to how you guys block your calendars and whatnot. That calendar thing. In fact, my kids are the ones that fill out the calendar on our board for the month when mom is not going to be around. Because as you know, as I'm an entrepreneur, I'm traveling back and forth. So we have a clear understanding. The 14 calendar for the school district, we already know when it's going to be time off, when not going to be time off, who is going to be doing chorus, who's going to be doing school play, if I'm going to be around or not, right? So that's why things like around PT, volunteer, maybe donating, like I let my money work for me. So you're talking about how we can how we can show up. So where I can volunteer resources if I don't have time. I'm able to do that and clearly communicate. So anytime they say, "Oh, where's donation?" Like, absolutely, we are doing that, and I communicate with the teacher. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Give presents for Halloween, Thanksgiving. Let them know and see that they're contributing in their own way. So, because these kids too, they're not able to yet until they get to that stage. What they just want is your company and they want your presence, and so we cannot discount that, right? And some kids, for example, my daughter is more like, "Hey, my son is all very mommy, but why you not here? Why you not there?" So you want to balance that personality and make sure that you're giving the attention in the right way. But communicating what you're doing instead of and why you're doing what not allows you to take away that guilt for you to be productive. Because a happy mother is a happy family and a happy kid. So if you're losing yourself, not being able to thrive, to grow, to chase like pursue that career, to travel if you need to because of your kid, later on in the future they'll say, ah, mommy was just at home, she was not doing anything, it was daddy that was come up. I say this because there was a time when I was really young, and that was before my mom started to like run her own school. Like she's a job as an accountant. She used to work for Lagos State, something, something. And my mom was a very, very stern, like mom. Like, and one time I think she used to just hit us our head or something, something like that. So me and my sister, we are having a shower in the bathroom. Like, don't mind that one, but it's Google mommy that makes all of the money anyway. And that's how we thought, right? Now, I know that this woman was sacrificing so that we could be whole. But even then, even sometimes, like, hey, mommy, you chose it now. You could have. That is what they're going to see you as someone that, and you're laying the example of just be at the bottom of the pyramids of needs and let everybody outshine you. It doesn't have to be that way. So everyone we're annoying. So now, like, oh yes, mom, of course you have to go. Yes, mom. That's what my mother like. Yeah, so mom works and she does this, and they are proud and they understand, and it's fine. But we're all fine. Now, I can't discount the fact that your husband has to be in alignment. Everybody has different dynamics. 'Cause I feel like that's even more trickier sometimes than your kids, right? And that one is more of like a work in progress because there's a lot of phases in the marriage, phases in their own jobs as well, because they're also transitioning, especially in our mid 30s, 40s. We're all becoming executives, and they too might need to travel, and you're traveling, and then who is at home? So that's where another tight communication and aligning with your calendar is very important, and making sure that everybody go like, look, if you want us to work, we want me to be the darling of your heart, and we all both have to be happy. Oh, we all have to be
Yes.
happy collectively. Last. So, and then that's really how to make it work. To be honest, but yeah.
I love it. I love it. So I'm hearing multiple things, right? So first of all, you need to give yourself grace. You need to let your resources work for you. You cannot have mom guilt. You need to balance it, but also manage expectations with your children, with the school as well, with work as well, right? All of those things are still important. And you all are right, because for me, I don't do volunteering because I just don't have the capacity to. But there are specific events that I have to attend. So like if my daughter
Yeah.
is, receiving awards, or she's reading like for the entire school, or there's an event, I want to be there. Even sometimes I would attend late, but as long as she sees me, that's all that matters, right? Because those are the things that they remember.
I
And
remember.
then most importantly, I want to, be the representation of what a woman can be, right? Not just be someone who is only focused with house chores and things that, matter around the house, but being able to do the things that I love. And so my daughters would see me speaking, they would watch my videos, and they say those things and they're happy. They're like, my mom does this, and I'm happy with it. But it's so important to have all of these things defined. Now, I want us to talk about there are a lot of women out there who are not empowered, right? There are a lot of women who have children and they're stay at home moms. They want to be empowered. They want to do things, right? They want to make money. They want to either go back to work or start a business, but they're so stuck, they don't know how to do it. What advice, what suggestions would you give to those women?
I think it's tough. And first of all, motherhood actually really takes a lot from you, from your self esteem to how you see yourself, and you can get to a point where you're feeling lost because I don't know what it does, but it just, your values, everything just shifts at a point, and if you've been out for a very long time, it can be very hard to get back in. And so what I would say is look inwards first and try to work on your self-esteem where you are at, ensure that you are mentally in a good place, you are strong, you're well, and then start to evaluate what's important to you. You might need to retrain. You might need flexibility. If you're not empowered, perhaps maybe your husband might not let you you know, take on a full role while you're working and all of that. And everyone's dynamics is different. So it's always important to ensure that, this kind of information you're trying to cover as much as possible or different scenarios as possible. But just evaluate what's possible for you, what's possible for your life. Where are you? What are you passionate about? What can you do in the meantime? Where can you volunteer? It could even be in your child's school or in their nursery, just looking at your life where you are at and what's possible in the now. It might just be you finding something that makes you happy. It could be painting, as little as painting or pottery or something. Just find something that makes you happy. And through getting to a place of wholeness. Wholeness is a journey, but getting to a place of wholeness, you can begin to find yourself again. You can begin to find a new job. In painting, maybe you start painting and you realize that that's what you actually are meant to do in life. You start selling your paintings and stuff like that. So I think for me, I think it's an internal work first, finding yourself and getting that confidence back because you've been hit by motherhood and you've been hit by you've been disempowered and then you've been out of work for a long time. We know that women, we already find when it comes to applying for a job, you want to have 100%, if not 200% of the requirements first before you apply for it. So get yourself to a place of confidence and stability first. Find a passion. I mean, it could be as little as volunteering in your local cafe, whatever it is to get you to a place of confidence and do that. And then you can now start work. If you can afford to work with a coach or someone or a friend who can help you, empower you, send an email to or a WhatsApp, whatever, to people around you. What am I good at? What do you see me doing? When you think of me, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And those things will lead you to where you can find your passion, a new job, or contact an old boss and say, hi, I would like to get back into work. Can I work with you for XYZ for a week? All I'm saying is, I don't know, I'm saying many things, but all I'm saying is start internally first. And from internally, find a passion, something little, and you build on from there. Because your confidence needs to be built up first before you can get anywhere. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do any of you ladies have anything to add to that?
So in addition to obviously finding that internal zen where you're not feeling like borderline depressed or feeling like you're worthless, right? So be in the midst of people that speak life to you. So I don't know if that's your faith community, your friends, your family. Be outside, like go out, get drinks, experience life outside of your day-to-day mommy duties. So that you just get that bit of fresh air. In those conversations, you start to think around things that you could do and speak to people that I'm at this crossroad. This is what I typically do. I'm not sure what I want to do, and start to get feedback to versus points. And then I believe in setting goals. Like, okay, so once you start to understand what you want to do, you probably want to give yourself some like timeline and goals, but make it realistic so that you're not feeling like, oh, you cannot do it. So I can start with one. I'm going to speak to 5 people. I'm going to network with 5 people on LinkedIn that are in alignment for me. I'm going to get myself a coach. I'm going to get these 2 courses to add to my certification. And I'm going to maybe do one in-person training that will get me to mix with people that are in that same field of what I'm going to. So it gets me that physical connection, not virtual, where you do all of these online courses, but who am I going to speak to, right? So you have that go, go, go. Now I'm ready. I have my CV proofed, or I have my business plan set. I'm going to either try to apply for this grant to get this business started, or I'm going to apply to these top 5 jobs, because now my LinkedIn connections I've been speaking to as personal coaches and mentors can probably refer me based on 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how you're gonna have to then break it down into achievable milestone. I always say when you want to try to reintegrate back into the employment or ecosystem, it's always good to go back to school. Just go back to speaking to people and in person if you can. And that typically tends to unlock something. And then communication as well, like make sure that whoever you're doing life with is in somewhat alignment. I know there'll be cases where they are not in alignment, and that's probably a separate conversation. And where you have to reevaluate, where you are, like if this is right for you. But you want it to be in a way where, and I mean, you have to know that you have to probably influence a lot. You have to be very, very emotionally intelligent and tactful in how you're going to present it for the family good. And then obviously if it's an extreme case where you don't have that alignment, then you have to reevaluate your relationships as well. So yeah.
Yeah, all of these points are great, but I feel like we've not addressed the main elephant in the room, which is fear. Fear. So a lot of women are afraid of different things, even things that I cannot imagine or things that I cannot even comprehend. I've heard women say, I don't want to work because I don't want my children to go to daycare because they would pick up all sorts of diseases or whatever, right? I've heard people say, I don't want to bring in a nanny because I don't know what they're doing to my children. I see all sorts of horrid things on social media where nannies are, violating the children in their home. There's so many things out there. So
In that case, they don't want it that bad. I think they've subconsciously chosen their priorities, right? Because that's my opinion. Because so where it's almost more of like this or that, right? So if it's a fear of taking and diseases, right? Because if you really wanted to solve for, I really want to be empowered and working and re-entering the workforce is important to me, you will go and look at 20 daycares. You will talk to the people there to try to understand their safety. You probably do trials. You probably can try to get an au pair that is vetted from another country to live in. And if you have family members and moms, you can say, Mom, in fact, I'll pay you maybe half the salary. Sometimes parents are like, let's talk business, okay? Or I'll send my auntie to come in there to stay. You will find ways because it is what it is. That's what you need to do. So if that fear is overshadowing the desire to re-enter, then like you said, maybe reevaluate what really makes you happy. And maybe it's a conversation of you just don't, people do not rate your work, do not rate your time because you're still working as a mother. You're believing that maybe they're not valuing that your value system is a bit skewed towards if you're working, you're empowered, and you're not working as a mother, you're useless. So maybe you need to just remind yourself that actually I'm okay staying at home. I am valuable. I will do things that brings in, maybe I'll volunteer, I'll start an NGO, I'll do things that uplift me so I can be there for my kids in a way that makes me feel comfortable. And then so that's you speaking to yourself that you don't have to work to feel valued. You can still
I
have
think
fun
the,
and be
the
valued.
fear aspect, there are different people
I
have
think
fears
yeah,
from for different reasons because of different experiences. And
As
some
well.
can be overcome and some might not be able to be overcome, right? And it's about exploring things. So let's say you want to be with your children. Could you be like a virtual assistant? Could you work around the children? Looking at the different options. I love what Jella said about the different options that are available to you within that fear until you overcome the fear, because some people will never be able to overcome some fears, and maybe it's even overconsumption. You are looking at all the blogs on Instagram and all the bad stories, and you might need to take yourself out of certain groups. I think someone said that earlier. Yeah, but in the meantime, because overcoming fear is a long-term thing, I think, anyway. In the meantime, what can you do to empower yourself? I've seen people do online businesses. People can become a content you can become a content creator. These children you want to stay at home with, you can create content with them. You can do homeschooling. Like, there are many things you can do. It might not be the high flying job that you imagine, but there are people that are making a good amount of money from selling products, right? From selling digital products. So evaluate your personal situation and see, okay, with this fear that I have, if I cannot overcome it, what can I do to still be empowered? And I think Diola touched a bit on that. So yeah.
I want to add just one last thing about the whole point of being resilient. Sometimes is about seeing a glass half full instead of half empty. So that's something I always charge myself with. And what's the positive thing you always see? So I want to come back to like a thing of fear of daycare. They will take diseases, they will pick this. Okay, well, they say it builds their immune system, for example, just picking up the positive from every scenario. I've actually tried to get an au pair in my house. I've had a terrible experience, but that didn't stop me. I think I just used the mindset of, okay, that was a bad because the work I need to do and the support I need to give my family outweighs, me sitting and wallowing in the fear. So just looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. And if it first don't succeed, you know what, pick yourself up and try again. So keep trying and trying. And either way, one thing will work. So I'm also experimenting, okay, if au pair didn't work, okay, that's fine. All right. Let them get the disease in the daycare and let's see how much I can deal with it, if it builds their immune system. Okay, if it's a really terrible one, then I need to resign, then online job. So like you can all try and experiment. I mean, it's part of having a positive mindset helps experimentation a lot. So I will tell you, I've had bad experience with au pair, like terrible experience, story for another day, but it didn't stop me. And then the next one I had, even I saw growth in my children from how she was treating them as well. But I could have said based on the first one, no, I'm not touching that again. Like I'm not going near that. So having that positive mindset and okay, like you said, something about support system. We always say we should have cheerleaders and challengers as well. So you should have not only people who would, understand your point, but also challenge your point of view. And people have gone through it. So my child went through DK, yeah, this, and then you'll see the better light at the end. Also helps that internal
Love it,
mindset.
love it, love it. All right, EY, I saw your hands up.
Oh no,
Oh
no, I
no,
was
no,
just
it's
kind
just
of
kind of
like
like
real, real quick, affirming what you said. The fear of the daycare, because I know I struggled with that for a while. If you remember, Vivian, it was even I don't know if you remember. You asked me this question one time when we were. So for those of you that don't know, I've known Vivian a long time. We went to school together, and she was. I cannot talk about my career in America without Vivian, without mentioning Vivian, because she was the one who kind of like built that foundation for me to where I'm at now. I don't know if you remember asking me this question, Vivian. You're like, "Oh, hey, what does success mean to you?" Because I was like, I can't work, I can't do this, my children. And then you're like, "Hey, what does success mean to you?" And I was like, being able to provide for my kids or for my family without batting an eyelid. And how can I do that if I don't work, if I don't, break out of that fear, so to speak? Because for the longest time I was like, I can get a nanny, they will maltreat my children. I can put my children in daycare because who knows what they will do to them. But I had to break out of that. But thankfully I finally did. I think part of it was the postpartum depression in a way, kind of tied into that state of thinking. But God will have it. I'm working now. I have a nanny. My children went to daycare. So, I was just kind of reaffirming what you said, in
In
terms of
terms of
the
the
fear
fear
of
of
getting a
getting a
nanny,
nanny.
putting them in daycares.
Okay, awesome. And I appreciate you, giving me
Yeah,
accolades.
I have to give
I
you flowers. I have to give you your flowers because really, I remember, the first interview I had, I recorded it and I played it for you. AY, why are you talking like this? I'm like, because I had not worked in a while, and then just getting back into the workforce, it was scary. Like the interviews were kind of I'm not gonna lie, it was intimidating, And then I played it back, and you're like, hey, why no? This is not it. You know the way Vivian is. This is not it. No, you need more coaching. And I'm like, yeah. So there's no way I can talk about my journey into corporate America without mentioning Vivian because she did a lot for me. So
So
thank you,
thank you,
Vivian.
Vivian. Thank you, Vivian.
Yeah,
But
no
I
problem.
like what
Thank
but
you,
I like what you
Vivian.
said there.
Thank you.
But I, I'll say AY, I like that because it looks like Vivian was both a cheerleader and
Oh
also
yeah,
a
she was.
challenger for you. So a lot of time as mothers, we just feel like, okay, I was good. You don't have anyone to talk to, but just speaking. I think me too. Like when I became a mother, I had someone like a Vivian. So I used to lead meetings. I used to do a lot of HR meetings. I used to facilitate. And one day I just got to her and I was numb. And then after the meeting, I had to reach out to one of the business leaders to say, how did I do? And she read me. I was like, I wasn't sure if this was the same
Oh.
meeting I knew, we went. But what happened was that she kind of checked me positively. And then I was always able to go back to her and say, okay, how did I do in this next one? How did I do? And then I saw myself slowly coming out of that bubble again. So yeah, I could relate to you when you shared that feedback.
So it's extremely, when you say all of these things, it gladdens my heart because it's all about providing support, resources to people who actually want it, right? Not just people who need it. I see a lot of people, even people in my circle, who I look at them and I'm like, you can actually do better than where you are right now. You have the potential to exceed boundaries, but I don't know if you want it, and I cannot want success for you more than you want it for yourself. So it's a two-way street. You have to also put in the work, right? So, again, that's why resilient immigrants exist. But anyway, I digress. We have a question in the chat, and this question is for Adiola, and it says, "I'm a working mom of a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I'm thinking of a third child. I regret not doing it earlier because of career and fear of starting over and the age gap. Any advice, please?"
I mean, I feel like when it comes to like child, obviously, when it comes to like childcare and the wants, I always feel like if it's just more around fear of starting over, you can leverage all of our advice that we've come on to share here, right? Leverage your network, try to put some structure in place so that you're able to re-engage and go back to work, right? So give an example of me currently, like I mentioned, so we moved back to Nigeria. The family moved back to Nigeria right around 2019 for 5 years. It was supposed to be 2 years. We spent about 5 years. We decided to come back here. It was two kids done, finished, so I can travel back and forth for work and whatnot. And then surprise baby happened. Quickly I realized that okay, it took me that 1 year. It was the 1 year that I didn't do any form of travel, and I had to take care of the baby and my pregnancy and the first 3 months. But immediately, I enlisted help. So help for my mom, help for my in-laws, right? And now she's here, daycare as well. In addition to her being here, my son is in daycare every day as well, so that my poor mother is not stressed, right? So she can have her own time for herself, and she has dreams too. She's training to be like childcare assistant, and because she's an educator as well. So right, so I've enlisted that help. I have a structure. My kids are older, so they're able to really play with the baby and engage him now that he's one. So I feel like when it comes to baby, and you want a third child. Obviously, being in alignment with your husband, check your money, check your resources. I'm not gonna lie, two kids is easier. Oh. Everything is times three. By the time you have that third child, your car, you have to think about it. When you're going on to hotels, you have to get two rooms. You want to go on cruise, forget it. Like it's over. So as long as money and finances, you've done the maths, the money is fine. I would say go for it. I swear that third child, everything that is a special sprinkle that they add to the family.
Oh,
It's really nice. So if you've sorted out the finance, getting back to your career, don't worry about that one. You
I
can
agree
that's
with
not
Deva. I agree with
yeah.
her in terms of like that third child. I think having my third child was what kind of rewired my brain because
Yes.
I had two kids that I was, in fact, like my whole life was them. Like everything was, oh my God, like I taught my daughter how to read, my son how to read, like we would do activities, like before they went to school, like they were already like, it was, Vese, remember you sent me a book when I used to do like all those activities with Mooney, like, but when I had my third, I was like, I can't do this. I can't. Like, I need my life back. It was kind of like everything to the wind. Everybody will survive.
We will be all
Everybody will
right.
survive. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that was like the mental switch for me. And they're surviving. They're surviving. They will survive. Like, I'm telling you, that, like, I went through bout of like mom guilt for years. Listen, I'm traveling in a week's time. I'm going to have fun with my girls. I couldn't do that. I could not do that when I had Muni, Mufe. Right? Nah, bro. I'm out of here. Like I'm traveling. I'm doing things for me. They will survive because you need to realize that these kids will grow up. They will grow up eventually, and you'll be left, wondering, well, what did I do with my life? What did I do for me? What did I do that brought me joy? Girl, the kids will survive. They will grow up. Okay, nothing's going to happen.
I'm 5 years, 6 years. It's still okay. I mean, I have 7 years, isn't it? I'm okay. So it's not too late. Obviously, think about it holistically, right? Do you have enough support system? Do you have the finances for three kids in this economy? I don't know where you are. If you're in Nigeria or the abroad, just look at all of that. Very practical analysis. And then if it's about re-entering your career, ABBA, you can re-enter now. You can re-enter. That's no problem. So go for it.
I love everything that all of you said, and I just want to call out one particular thing, right? Make sure you're having that extra child or extra children for the right reason. I remember growing up, everybody who knew me growing up, if you ask me how many kids do I want, I'll tell you six, right? Six children. And even till now, I'm still considering it's like the idea is not thrown out the window, right? But I know that there has to be a lot of planning involved, resources has to be on point, support system, everything. But make sure you're having that, extra children for the right reason. Um, Okay, so as we get closer to the end of this segment, I want us to talk very quickly about how we're maintaining our culture with our children, right? Because I know that we're all African moms, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, I want to ensure that my children are not overly westernized, where they still have understanding of the culture, the respect is still there, you know, and they're able to represent the family when they go out. How do you guys do it? What are your strategies?
It's a
So for
tricky
me,
one.
I started, I stopped, I'll start again. So we got like an online Yoruba lesson teacher every Friday. And my mom is around. So my mom is always Yoruba first before English. In our language that we speak at home, in them even trying to learn the basic language. Because I'm thinking about how I even understood Yoruba, because there needs to be some theoretical aspect to it. Everyone needs to know the theory, and then we can now be incorporating the speaking to it. So I'll restart. So please, I'm not doing it right now. Sorry, but it's something that I should be doing. Then obviously the language in house, so having people around, speak around them, the food. the music,
Mm.
the dressing, like, so these kids are aware of Nigerian songs because we play it all the time on our road trips, Nigerian music in there. So they are absolutely Nigerian firsts in our house. The food, our timetable, I don't cook now to make all of those very something something something, all those sandwiches that there's no filling, there's no pepper that are fried inside. It has not entered. So thankfully they have that taste bud as well. I'll just give it my son. I was trying to do mashed potatoes. No, 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 no. The couscous that had pepper was the one that he ate. It is because so introducing them to, obviously, culture is obviously the way of life, right? Definition. So way of life is what you speak, how you interact, what you eat, how you dress, your music. So all of that, making sure that it's in how you do life at home. And then
And then
visiting
visiting
Nigeria, grandparents, virtual meetings with your cousins. Let everybody talk about the back old days. Give them all those, stories about what you used to do back in the, all of
Yeah,
that, and visiting the country.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Because we
think that,
started, we
yeah.
started. Okay, go ahead, Visi.
No, no. I was going to say, I think that's very important, the visiting part,
Yeah.
because you just have memories. I remember I'm Uruba, I'm from Delta, and I have memories of going back to Sapele and Wari. And I just knew that even though I grew up in Lagos, I am an Uruba girl first, and just for them to, even though I was going maybe once a year, but maybe even less. One thing we do in our house is my children they say they are Nigerian. I don't want to hear I'm British, and not because they are not British. They are British. They have a British
Mhm.
passport, but they are Nigerian first with British passports, and not because I love. I'm happy that they're British. They're growing up with friends and everything, but being Nigerian can never be taken away from them. I if they're in Nigeria, I don't think anyone will ever say go back to your country. That's where you are from, you
Mhm.
know. And so a rule in our house, you are Nigerian and then you are also British. That's the fundamental for us. And so if you ask them in school, everywhere, my daughter presentation in school on Nigeria, my son presentation in school on Nigeria, and they chose it. I didn't even force them to, but that's how much I've instilled in them that they are Nigerian. Also, I'm Robo. My husband is Yoruba, so they will greet me Migwo. They will greet my husband Ekaro, in the morning, and just those little things. For me, it's just them knowing and not forgetting, that they are Nigerian first, and then I love what you said about the grandparents, all of that. I have my sisters around, their cousins, they will greet their aunties, Migwo, those little things. It helps them know, for me anyway. And then food as well, food, dancing, the culture. My
Mhm.
daughter will ask me, Mommy, what accent do I have? I'm like, I want a Nigerian accent. I'm like, are you sure you want a Nigerian accent? But that's how much I'm just like, you are Nigerian, you are Nigerian. Because if you have someone who is English in China, I don't think in 2 years time or like 20 years time he'll say I'm Chinese. No, he will say I'm an Englishman in China, and I that's how I see things, and that's the same thing I want for my children as well. Yeah, that's my
Awesome. Ewa, you're going to say something too.
Oh no,
Oh
I
no.
was agreeing with the fact that, because we just started taking them back home to Nigeria, just so that they can, experience the culture more. And I agree with, your grandparents. Like my mom is here, and I remember, she was like, "Oh, Moniola, you should be kneeling down to greet um to greet your parents." And I rolled my eyes. I'm like, come on, because I'm not Yoruba, I'm Edo. We don't do that, right? But they're Yoruba. Hey, my husband is Yoruba, and they're Yoruba, and they see him like he prostrates or he bends, he bows to greet his mom, right? To greet his parents. And so now when she comes to the morning, she's like, Ekaro. It's so funny. She's like, Ekaro, mommy, Ekaro, daddy. I'm like, oh, okay. But so it's, and they like it. They don't see any issue with it. They love being Nigerian. And also I would say like having like Nigerian friends to who share the same, the same background, the same values. We go to events. We make sure that we're, organizing things so the kids can connect with each other. I think that matters too. It's important. And yeah, that's, and then just sharing stories of me being back home, and I think that's those are my inputs.
Absolutely. Just wanted to buttress that point of finding your Nigerian community where you live is a big thing because we Nigerians now we do the most outside of Nigeria anyway, like Independence Day,
Yeah.
all of those things. I don't know if it's the church community, depending on the church that you go to, and things like that. So having family friends that are doing equally well, right? I
Yeah.
mean, doesn't matter, but I think you get the point that doing well, they're able to see that because sometimes when they're I would say in the Western society where maybe they're the only black kid and whatnot, talk less of only Nigerian, right? You want to normalize their culture
Mm.
and want them to have that safe space to fully embrace and understand what it means to be Nigerian outside of Nigeria or African outside of the country. But yeah.
All right,
I,
perfect. Yeah, did you want to add something?
I think I'm still far back, but I'll just say a few things I'm doing, and I can relate to what everybody is saying here. So, for example, that Nigerian community, finding how they're also, my kids are still very young, to be honest, so I'm still coming behind. But a few things I still do is there are now TV shows that talk in Yoruba, for example. I just found some of them. So I play it for my kids as well. So I noticed that while they're singing the Miss Rachels and everything, they're also singing those songs as well, the ones that we grew up knowing in school, which is interesting. Dress up for them. We've been going home every year. I know, but I mean, a lot of people might not have the resources to go home every year. My mom is also around right now, so those. So I can relate to everything everyone is saying. So I'm coming behind you, but I can see, I know what to do as I go on. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you all so much. I appreciate all the information, all of the insights. So we're going to round up real quick. And just to add, right, I hope this session has been very insightful for all of those people who are tuned in and the people who are going to watch the recording as well. At Resilient Immigrants, we strongly believe that knowledge is power, and it's really the first step in thriving. But I want all of you guys to tell the audience how they can connect with you. I know each of you and your stories would resonate with different people. So, how can they connect with you? Vese.
Oh, yes. Hi. Connect with me on, I guess, Instagram. I have a page called Veste.bloom, and or on my business page, which is Philly and Friends. And yeah, happy to have a chat always. Yeah, that's it.
All right, awesome. Adela, how about you?
Interesting. I think I connect more on LinkedIn, but I'm trying to do more on Instagram now. It's hard. Content creators, I need your advice. I just post on stories, but yeah, you can connect with me. I think it's Debay, Debaay, on LinkedIn. Adiola Ali, you find me there. I'm most active there.
All right, awesome. You hear me, Day?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram. I think I'm most active there. And if anyone is also around the Europe time frame, I think we can also connect on that level. So we also find out more communities of people who you can share such things with. I think if you just search my name, the two of them, I'm probably one of the only ones that might come out because the two names are very unique. And then that would be me. So I think on Instagram you can use Yeyewa, but that's, and on LinkedIn it's my full name. Yeah.
All right, AY.
So you can connect to me on Instagram. I'm very active there, so I'm a content creator. So my handle or my um, name is AY's Diary. So AYS underscore diary. So
All right, awesome. And anyone who wants to connect with Resilient Immigrants, it's resilient underscore immigrant across all social media platforms. And I'm very, 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 very approachable. So please feel free to reach out. Questions, comments, encouragement, anything, your support. It's definitely welcome. Now, the staple. Before we wrap up, you guys know the drill. You're going to state your name, your occupation with a lot of swag, right? And then you're going to state that you are a resilient immigrant. All right, so Vesty.
Okay, so I am Vessi and I am a children's author and an entrepreneur, and I am a resilient immigrant.
Dila.
For me, hi, I'm Adela. I'm a health tech entrepreneur and I'm a resilient immigrant. Yay!
Yay, yay.
Hi all, my name is Yeye Mide. I am a HR IT professional, finding simple ways to serve the underserved, and I am a resilient immigrant.
All right, Eli.
I am Aloye, and I am a HR project manager and an entrepreneur, and I am a resilient immigrant.
Beautiful. You guys don't know how powerful this statement is. In the world that I'm in, with immigrants working with refugees, the stereotype is so negative around immigrants. And so just seeing fellow immigrants like ourselves who are doing well, who are thriving, coming out and speaking more and helping other people with the information that we've had, our experiences, our journey, and proudly saying that we're resilient and we're immigrants, because that's what we are at the end of the day, right? It's so, so important. So thank you all so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all your insights, everything that you've provided today. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. All right, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.